Hey, it's Caroline, career and leadership coach. And today I want to talk to you moms that are returning to work and are looking or actively looking for a new job. And I want to give some resume advice because I know it can be daunting. So, first of all, it doesn't matter if you took off 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, even more than that. So the advice that I'm going to share with you is going to be very applicable to you anyway. So the first thing that I want to share is about self-doubt because a lot of people, I've been there myself. I have 3 kids. And so the first time I was still working in corporate and you feel very vulnerable. Your mind has been occupied by sleepless nights with diapers, with feeding, and all you have been concerned and consumed with is that. So when you think about going back as a professional, whatever position that is in, you feel very vulnerable and very like scared, like to think like, oh my God, can I still do this? So there's a lot of self-doubt. And so that self-doubt that ends up, and that's actually one of the things that I see all the time, that ends up in underselling yourself. But you're doing a disservice to yourself by doing that. So why is that? So a couple of things that jumped straight to my mind is like, your experience that you've built up has taken you years and years and years. And even though like becoming a mom, a first time mom, of like second, third time, fourth time, I don't care, but like becoming a mom again, might actually is only a certain time in that profession, in your life, basically. So it doesn't really take away the experience that you have built up. And so you're doing a disservice to yourself to think that that limited and short period of time is taking away all the skills and experience that you've built up. So think about it this way. If you have a ramp up period up of 6 to 10 weeks, after that, you're back in the game. So if you undersold yourself, whether it's on your resume or in an interview, like it will only take you 6 to 10 weeks to actually get back up and running. So the self doubt that you have at the moment is going to do you a disservice because you're going to accept a position, whether that is below your capability and whether that is paying you less money because you're doubting yourself and you just think like, oh my God, just going to ask for a little bit less than I would normally do because I just want to get back up and running. It's going to end up because that sacrifice that you are making in the end result, after 6 to 10 weeks, you're going to be just delivering amazing stuff again. The things that you have done before, you're delivering again. So you are going to accept a job below your capability, below the salary that you want. But after 6 to 10 weeks, you're back up and running. So you're doing yourself a disservice. I hope you can see that because that is what I see all the time with women that are returning back to work, underselling themselves and end up in jobs that undervalue them, underrespect them, that are below what they actually can do, below their potential, and they're earning a salary that's shit, to be honest, compared to what they normally could earn. And it all comes back to because they doubt themselves and they think that because they took 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, even more off, that they're not worth that anymore. But guess what? It only takes them 6 to 10 weeks to get back in the game and to be up and running again. But that being that gap that they have had creates so much self-doubt and creates their confidence to be so low that they doubt themselves, and it's like, and as a result they're underselling themselves. So my advice here is don't be too hasty in really accepting or going for a position that's below your value. There are so many ways, and including, if you doubt, you have to work with a coach. You can reach out and work with me on this, because what we need to do is build up that confidence. And the way we do that, or the way I do that with my clients, is by really understanding the value that they really truly can bring, and think about that again and put that in the right words, and that helps them build up their confidence. So once we talk about all the achievements and we articulate what's in their head on their resume, and create that narrative, create that story, it rebuilds their confidence. Like, holy shit, I have done so much, I can bring so much value. And it's but because we go on this journey of really demystifying their career and really understanding the commercial value that brings to an organization, that they start believing again in their own capability, and that will shine through on their resume, and that shines through in an interview. And it's that power that will get you to a role that really brings to the table what you can, that sorry, that brings you a role that you deserve, that really values and respects you, and that pays what you're worth. So instead of just going in with a mindset already like, okay, I will accept a lower position, I'm underselling myself, and that's fine, I just want to experience, I want you to go in understanding your value, what you bring to the table, your authentic self. I want you to be crystal clear on your message. And once you have gone through the process, you might still accept a role that's like pays a little bit less or whatever, or has a smaller scope, and that's okay. But you start with really stepping into your power and being very clear on what it is that you can bring, and knowing like what's in your head, you put on paper and you articulate it clearly in an interview. And that is what I want you to do, first of all. So that's the first step. Don't let self doubt be underselling yourself, and don't let like a resume, don't put a resume out there that's communicating whatever you can bring to the table in such a way that's underselling you. So make sure it truly reflects what it is that you can bring. So that's the first part, is the self-doubt, underselling yourself. So make sure that that is really where you want it to be, that is, yes, of course you're going to be vulnerable and scared, but it's like acknowledging that, accepting that as part of the journey, but it should not be controlling how you position yourself and put yourself out there. So, you see what I mean? Like, yes, you will have those emotions, and there's no need to deny those, because they're going to be there. But it's about really saying, like, hey, I know you're there, self doubt. I know you're there, lack of confidence, but I am going to acknowledge you, but I'm going to give the power to another area, about an area. I'm going to give the power to the part of me that I know can do this job. I know what I can bring to the table. I know the point of difference that I can make in this role and in this company. And that's the part I'm going to give the power to, and you can make that shift. And yes, of course, your self-doubt is going to creep in time and time again. I've seen this. So don't don't be surprised if that happens, but it's constantly really shifting back and really making sure that you give the power to the right area that will get you and achieve it, get you the role that you want and achieve your career goals. So basically, that's the first thing. Like, don't undersell yourself. Second thing I see returning to work moms do all the time on their resume is worrying about the gap. So because they say like, look, I haven't been in the workforce for 3 months or 6 months, like whatever time it is, guys, it doesn't really matter. And they often like they send their resume that's very a traditional resume, and they say like, oh, they rejected me because I've been out of the workforce. So they blame the fact that they've been out of the workforce for, and that gap, for the fact that they don't have the interview. And it might be true, but most often it's not true. That gap is there, but everybody has gaps. So people have with COVID, people have been out of the workforce, made redundant. People move countries. People have sabbaticals. People have been a carer to whoever needs to be cared for. So it's like it could be. It's part of life, and it's not going to take away of the results that you can deliver for that company. So you have to really make a shift again, that that gap might not be the reason why you're not getting an interview. The reason might be, and it's very often the case, is that your resume is not results oriented, and it's really the old fashioned way. So you have to shift your resume and the way you communicate yourself on your resume from the traditional way to really a results oriented way. So you have to think about the commercial outcomes. You have to have an elevator pitch. You have to really know how to customize your resume specifically for the roles that you want to attract, and the career that you want to have, rather than having the cliche and traditional resume that just reflects typically all the things that you have done through your career. You have to step away from that, because that's the old school way of writing a resume. And it might have worked in the past, but it's not working for anyone anymore at the moment, because technology has changed everything and people have really different expectations of a resume. A resume needs to be your sales tool. A resume needs to sell you. Your brand needs to have a clear narrative, can't be text heavy, it needs to be result oriented. Then it's certain elements that need to be in place so that you make your resume your sales tool. So what I want you to do is I want you to make a shift and not blame the gap that you've had for the fact that you don't have interviews. The shift that I want you to make is like from having a traditional looking resume into having a resume that sells you, your sales tool. And that's basically the second shift that I want to make. So the first one was about the self-doubt and on the selling yourself into terms of really communicating the value that you can bring to the table. The second shift that I want you to make is from a traditional resume into a real a document that sells you. And the third thing that I want you to do is to make sure that you have the right resume format. Now, the key resume format has two components. And I'm not talking about bells and whistles and fancy fonts and a picture and making it really look nice and using Canva or any other design tool to design the resume. No, no. Format is important, but what's really important is the content of your resume. So the content of your resume needs to be engaging, needs to be invoking curiosity. So let me give you an analogy that worked really well when I explained this. So you have to think about a trailer of a movie, of your favorite movie. You see a trailer, and a trailer is about 90 seconds. So the entire movie, which is over 2 hours, they put into 90 seconds. And in 90 seconds, they give you a flavor of the movie. They let you know if the movie is really an adventure movie, a romantic movie, a horror movie, whatever type of movie, and also the quality of actors, whether it's high level or known actors, whether it's like actors that you don't know and upcoming talent. So, and in those 90 seconds, you decide whether or not you want to go and see that movie. So that's the same thing I wanted you to do with your resume. In 90 seconds, actually even less, studies have indicated that recruiters and HR only spend 7 seconds on resumes. But anyway, I want you to take all the skills and experience that you have and really, really distill it into a couple of pages. In Australia, you can have 3 pages, in Europe, 2 pages, and in the US, 1 page, 1.5 page. So I want you to really distill that and really think about, okay, how can I combine that and how can I give a flavor of myself in that thing that I call a resume? So yes, your the design of your resume is important, that it's eye-catching, that it's easy to read, don't have too much going on. Like a lot of resumes that I see have those fancy fonts and two columns, three columns, bullets, like a rating scale of how they rate with a certain skill. Don't do that. Your resume should be simple document, should actually be very like simplified. Your message, that is the most important. The rest doesn't really matter. So you have to make sure that your resume communicates the flavor of candidate that you are. And you don't want to be vanilla. You want to be a combination of salted caramel, chocolate, peanut butter, ice cream. That's what you want to be. You want to show your uniqueness on that piece of paper by combining the dots and by really expressing what it is that you are truly stand for and that you're capable of. Now, if that interests you, if you say like, "Oh my God, I want to create a resume like that. I want to have a standout six-figure resume that really like knocks people off their socks, no, off their chair." Anyway, if you want to have a six-figure resume that really stands out, stops recruiters in the trail, like and say like, "Wow, this is a person that I need to talk to because they can solve my problem." Join my six-figure resume program, coaching program. It's a bespoke one-on-one coaching service where I work with people to on a one-on-one basis to create their pitch. It's a co-creation process. So co-creation is you're the expert in what you do, I'm the expert in what I do. And so the first thing we do is create your pitch, your elevator pitch. And this pitch you will use not only on your resume, also on your LinkedIn profile and in an interview, because it's the answer to the question, tell me about yourself. So it's really, really critical to get that right. So it's a co-creation process of your pitch, and then we co-create the rest of your resume, and your entire resume is going to be your sales tool, and it's going to be the way you express that uniqueness of your pitch into the whole entire document. So it's going to have a clear narrative that's going to flow through your entire resume. So if this is of interest, like I will pop a link below, join that bespoke resume service, register. And as a bonus at the moment, you will get also access to a free live interview training that I'm going to do, 90-minute free live interview training. This is invaluable because basically what we're going to do during building your resume, the six-figure resume, is we will create your leadership brand. So everybody has a personal brand, but we want to shift it to a leadership brand. So this doesn't mean that you have to have like people management. It could be that you're an individual contributor, but it's more like really making sure that you're not stuck in that doers mindset anymore, that you really embrace your leadership skills that you have. And we're going to make sure that you are able in an interview to really articulate yourself on a different level, to navigate the interview, and position yourself as obvious candidate to get the job offer at the end of it. So that is how you communicate your transferable skills, how you are able to explain the gap that you have in your resume without like being so like having sweating palms and breaking out and waffling all the time. It's about how you overcome those objections, how you address those objections, how you talk about box standard interview questions, like that they say like, what are your weaknesses, what are your strengths, what's your management style, how do you handle conflict, all these type of questions we will work through in the interview training. It's going to be invaluable. And definitely after, once we get you up and running with your resume. So we'll pop a link below, join and register for that service, and I will just like looks forward to transforming your current resume from ordinary to outstanding. Can't wait to do that with you. So, thank you so much for watching. If you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out, direct message me, or send me an email, and I'm more than happy to help you to answer any of the questions that you have. Talk to you